You're listening to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch. Welcome to Talk to Brazil, the world's first English language internet radio program about business in Brazil, and now in podcast format. I'm Tom Reaoch and your host for the show. I'm talking from the city of Campinas in the state of Sâo Paulo, Brazil, so when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Today's guest is Richard Sanchez. He was born in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and Richard has been living in Miami since 1991, where he became an American citizen. Richard is also the founder and president of Moriah International Incorporated and has been working exclusively with Brazil as an exporter, importer, distributor, and consultant for Brazilian entrepreneurs since his first days in Miami. So with that, Richard, hello and welcome to Talk to Brazil.
Hello, Tom. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, always good to speak with you, Richard. For our audience, Richard and I, we know each other personally. I've been obviously to Miami several times. We visited personally. We've interacted about business opportunities. So
that's right.
Always good to have you with us. Richard, we talked about this in some of my other podcasts, other persons. Here in the Brazilian market, we've talked about trade shows and events, both for Americans and Europeans. That's a way of doing business, right? And right. Miami and the state of Florida offer a wide variety of trade shows and events. And in my business life, I've been to many. Brazil, too, has great trade shows. But what makes them special for business opportunities? I know you, too, have been to events here, there, and everywhere. Why are they so special?
I would say to you, to the whole audience, is because trade show is part of the American way of doing business culture. Mm-hmm. You know, it is huge. The media, the so-called meeting industry in the United States, just in 2016 alone, that's what I have here in my studies. You know, whereas just for international buyers and visitors, 6 million international visitors. You know, it is huge. 6 million
just the trade shows.
Just for the trade shows. It's amazing. It is amazing. It's
that's
insane.
The same if we compare that for our Brazilian friends. Brazil's tourism industry brings like 6 million people a year for tourism. So you're saying there's 6 million people go to the States just for trade shows.
For the meetings, yes, that's correct. Wow. The whole industry. Because the whole industry, they broke down in convention, conference, and congress, and they so-called without exhibit floor. Mm-hmm. Just to give an idea, number-wise, 249,000 events in bringing 45 million people. On the trade show alone, 10,000 per year is the average in the United States, bringing 40 million people. If you compare trade show with conference, for 249,000 events bringing 45 million people.
Wow.
Trade show alone, 10,000 bringing 40 million people. It is insane, you know. And when you see the economic impact that's on the U.S. economy, that's represents $446 billion of the American GDP. That's insane.
That's why they call it an industry. The meeting industry.
That's right.
Is
that's
an
very
industry.
True. That's very true.
Wow.
You know, and when you look at it, the numbers and the exposure that you have, this is what I have said many times to all Brazilians that come to me for a trade show. Whoever is listening to us right now, when they come to U.S. for a trade show, number one, if you come as an exhibitor, you gotta have as a global strategy, because 6 million people come to the show for new ideas, right, new products, new technology, and because whatever is new, most of the time happens in the United States. Mm-hmm. It is insane, you know. I'm a biggest supporter, you know, and I love to trade shows. I cannot even tell you how many trade shows I have been attending all these years.
You're saying there are 10,000 a year, and since
yes,
you're in Miami, like literally, you can go to one every day if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you divided 10,000 shows in average per 50 states, you have an average of 200 shows per state per year. And wow, of course, you have the small states.
That's almost a day. Every day there's something everywhere. So
exactly right. But if you again, when you see the concentration on the biggest cities such as New York, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Chicago, LA, this is where all the noise happens, the buzz, and it's crazy. It's one after another, and when you understand how important it is for anyone that want to come to the United States to be at the show, your mind, you're going to change your mindset. There is no other way, know. And what we have been learning here is this: when you change your mind, you expand your mind, never ever retract. Because
that's true.
Never ever. Because even if you come as a visitor, you're going to see how powerful and big this market is. If you come as an exhibitor, you're going to learn.
You've actually, that's part of you. You could say when you change your mindset, you can never go home, right? And,
that's very true.
You exactly. You're on your side. You're the image. You left Rio de Janeiro, went to the States, and stayed in Miami. I'm from Pittsburgh, came to Brazil, and I've stayed here. And I agree with you on both sides. To have either an American or European or Brazilian mindset, part of that is being and understanding the culture. But we're talking about how to do business. Part of that, say business is business everywhere, but the culture of doing business can be a little different in each place.
That's very true. And another thing, Tom, that there's a misconception going on. Everybody thinks, and a lot of people talk about big business through website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. We understand the website, we understand the e-commerce, but the nitty-gritty, when the time comes to talk about big money, people want to see face-to-face.
Right.
Everybody's big on the website. Everybody's big on catalog. But when you come to a show that you invest your dollar and come to the show, people see you different. Just to give an idea, because of this thing that's going on today with e-commerce and website, we cannot deny the cyber terrorism in the United States. A lot of American companies, I'm serious, it's very common to see and meet American companies talking to American buyers.
Mm-hmm.
They just buy at trade shows. They don't welcome any salesman knocking the door, cold calling them. No. This is not the policy anymore. They're gonna come to the trade show because the trade show is much more convincing than website and catalog, and trade show is what separates the boys from the big boys. That's what they say. You wanna come to a trade show and you put your merchandise for everybody, look at it, criticize it, or whatever it is. You know what? You are putting your money where your mouth is.
That's
what I'm saying?
And really, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. I've in my business past and my experience of both taking Brazilian companies to the States, to Mexico, to Europe, to have this startup to get the feeling. What was the expense of renting a small, and I'm saying small, it could be like 2 meter by 2 meter area with a table with called a curtain backdrop. You could put up a banner.
That's right.
Open up your briefcase and put out some brochures and talk to people. Today, just open up your laptop and you can show a video. You can talk to people about something. The most important thing that I got participating in any of these events was hearing what the eventual customer had to say.
That's right.
Because obviously, as a salesperson, you go and you want to tell everybody how great your product is. But being in a trade show, you can see if anybody's even really interested and have them ask you pertinent questions. And most of my product development came from that, listening to what the market tells you. And that market, as you said, it could be Americans, it could be Chinese, it could be Europeans, anybody.
Yeah, this is very true, Tom, because you know what? This is why I talk to a lot of Brazilians when they come to the U.S. Come prepared. You got even though you can have a very small booth, have the spirit of excellence, saying, show, try to stand out of the crowd. Because you bring everything, as much as you can, prepare in a format that you can place it in the American market. Because, again, this is a global strategy. Because you never know who's going to cross your path. You never know who's going to stop at your booth. You can be one handshake away from your big break. I haven't seen it. People that can buy from your company, whatever you are, or wherever you come from. They can change your history. They can change the span of the size. They can change your family history, your generations to come. Because these guys, they have power. And when they buy, they buy. I haven't seen it many
Well,
times.
you live that because I see you have experience as a distributor, and when you look, anybody looks to the U.S. market, most of the entrance into the market is going to be through a distributor. You
Yeah.
say, well, I'm going to direct ship to somebody. Maybe they don't want it. They want to buy from a local distributor who has local warehousing capability, and he wants to buy, and your product may be from Brazil, but he wants to buy as if it were local.
It's not just that. When you work with a distributor, Tom, it's much easier, faster, and cheaper for whoever
Right.
want to come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest investment that any factory, any business can do when it comes to the United States is promotion.
Right.
You know what? And if you know if you know how to open your mind and leverage with whoever has been on the road for a long time,
Right.
knows the do and don'ts, I can guarantee you gonna be much better. You know what? Because what happens is when most of the time these foreign nationals when I come to the United States, they forgot, or they don't want to understand, or they refuse, with all due respect, the so-called 3 R's that the American market says.
Mm-hmm.
Is first, the first R, you have to build a reputation. When you have your reputation, you have a relationship. Then comes the revenue. Mm-hmm. That's something that has to follow step by step. First reputation, then relationship, and again, then comes the revenue. And it works. So when people come over here,
there has to be revenue, and they understand that there has to be revenue on both sides of the table. If I make money, I want you to make money. The more money you make, the more money I'll make, and the more money I make, the more money I'll help you make.
That's very true. And when you sit down and talk to some big distributors, they have the whole amazing channel ready to go.
Right.
It's just a matter, as I said, to sit down, understand, to share in order to multiply, because the guys are ready to go and can change your life. That's what I have said many, many times to many Brazilians, It's all about leverage. Leverage is one of the words that I use a lot because I learned way back, how important it is to leverage, And again, make your life easier. Believe me, it does.
Well, you've seen it, and you see this every day. What do you see now as we look forward to? We're in 2019, but looking forward to 2025. Obviously, you're in the States. The U.S. economy is strong, and I always say, even there, when it's bad, it's good.
That's very true.
Miami, everything in Florida in itself is still growing. Florida is the largest business partner with Brazil. So obviously you see that. You see the same drive, the same energy, the same future, profitable and relationships and revenue for everybody.
Yeah. To give you an idea, it is the economy here, how big it is. Last year, 2018, the United States imported $2.3 trillion. It's not that amazing? $2.5 trillion. They imported. That's why Donald Trump had said many, many times, the United States made China. Yeah. China is so powerful today because of a customer called United States.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you see this number, $2.5 trillion, it's a lot of money. In Brazil, unfortunately, let's say I talk about my country, just dealt $2 billion was 1.23% of the trade. Right. That's nothing. So, but again, there is room for everybody, as long as you come to this country, doing the right thing, trying to play as much as I can by the book, bring the spirit of excellence, you have a chance. I believe.
Let me get into your head a little bit, Richard, because obviously you're a Brazilian. You've been there since 1991.
Yeah.
Talking about mindset, you know how Brazilians think. And the opportunities have always been there, and your work has been dedicating to showing these opportunities.
That's right.
What is the biggest challenge for Brazilians that you see? Why don't they go? Why don't they get up and just go to a trade show? Why don't they just go see something?
Lack of culture.
What's happening? Huh?
I think lack of culture, about trade show, Brazilians don't have that kind of a culture. you know. And another thing that we see a lot is very hard to say that, but it's vanity. You know,
Vanity.
yeah, I would say that. And especially, you know,
Well,
another thing
that's
that we
something
don't have
you
the
could say.
culture
I
to,
wouldn't say. If I would say that, everybody would be complaining. But I'll let you say that. Why do you think Brazilians are vain?
because you know the vein, because sometimes they are successful in Brazil and they come over here, they think they're gonna play the same game,
Mm,
you know. And I have seen that a lot. I have been talking to friends of mine, you know, as a lawyers, CPAs, and other consultants. They experience the same thing that I have experienced for a long, long time. You
mm,
know, they think they can make it the same very way. They think that brand is gonna conquer the American market. It's gonna conquer the American buyer. That's why sometimes it's so tough to convince, let's say, Brazilians, you know, to invest in promotion, to brand themselves. They think that the market is gonna bow down to them. For
mm.
example, I have I have had the opportunity to sit down with big players in Brazil, big factories, people that even, I mean, famous. Of course, I will not disclose the name, you know.
Hmm.
And I would come to the guy and say, "Hey, okay, Mister, why the American buyers have to buy your product?" And they didn't know how to answer.
Yeah.
If you don't have a why, forget about it, you
Hmm.
know, because you know this is something that I have said many, many times. Everybody, all the whole world want to come to the United States and take a bite on this $2.5 trillion market.
Uh-huh.
Why you? Why me? Why them? What? Okay, mister, I have been doing business with this company for 30 years,
Right.
20 years, 10 years ahead of you. We work in sync. No problem whatsoever in logistic, invoice, return
Right.
of merchandise. They have
Right.
all the insurance for liability, you
Mm.
name it.
Hmm.
We have it all. I love this guy. Why you? What? And they don't know how to answer.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, Tom, because I knock the door. I can tell you, I have theory. I still go to seminars. I
Right.
still read books, and I
Right.
knock the door. I travel this country, to knock the door, and
Right.
have buyers squeezing me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And say, "Oh boy, what is that?"
Yeah.
You know. But again, what don't kill you make you stronger. And
Yeah.
what I talk on my videos is what I lived. I'm not talking just blow smoke. No, 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 no. Being there, done that. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
And
you're
again,
right. You're right.
that's why I said to the guys, if you don't know why you want to come to the United States, don't come.
Now you're reminding me of examples that I had in my professional life. And you mentioned two things: liability, insurance for product
Oh,
liability, which there is a game breaker. In Brazil, at that time, some years ago, didn't even exist. Uh,
exactly.
and the other side would be conforming to standards, a standardization,
Compliance
whatever it is.
regulations, of
Yeah.
course.
The different norms that work there. At one time, I was helping a Brazilian company that manufactured aluminum structures. And obviously, in Brazil, he had his technique, and everything here was super dimensioned. Because, as you know, in Brazil, many persons don't really respect. If you say, well, it can hold 200 kilos, well, they'll put 400.
That's
Uh,
right.
and we took these products to the States, showed it at one of the trade shows, as we mentioned. And the Brazilian manufacturer says, no, we're going to sell it in the States because it's stronger and it's able to withstand double. And we found out, that, just like you said, the market didn't want stronger. The market just wanted what it's supposed to be.
Of
If it's
course.
supposed to be for 200 kilos, make it for 200 kilos. If you make it to withstand 400, you're not going to have the cost.
Yeah.
And that was the
That's
learning.
And you know, Tom, one thing I learned on the road, I have been talking to many Brazilians. Liability, if you have insurance liability today and you have any kind of plan for a recall, you know,
Hmm.
when you sit down in front of a buyer, he's going to pay attention to you. Oh, this guy is different. He knows, we are talking on the same very level right now.
Yeah.
We are concerned about the same very things, you know what I'm saying? Because this liability issue right now is getting worse by the hour. You know what I'm saying? Just read the news, right? But people don't believe that for you to put a furniture sample in a store, you have to sign a insurance.
That's true.
You got to show. The other day, actually, it was last year. Last year, I was negotiating an office for a business that I was involved with. You know, just to sit down, for me to sit down with the landlord, I had to show a $1 million policy, liability insurance. And I say, what? Yeah, if you don't show us, we don't sit down. You know what we did? We bought it. We went to the meeting. Did not work it out. On the next day, we cancel it.
No, but that's it. You need it. You got to have it. You have to show it. And that was the second point I was going to make.
How come you show a liability insurance?
That was the second question that people asked. Do you have insurance?
Yes.
And that's it.
It's crazy.
If you say no, they say come back when you have it. Don't even talk. But you're saying, no, it's just a sample. I agree with you. Say no. We're not even going to talk to you. We don't want to see it. Don't even send it to us.
And you know, Tom, this is insane for the foreign national standard. Oh, a liability insurance just to talk about renting? Yes. Yes. That's what happened. You know, and that I had to do it, you know.
And
but again.
No, but the whole process exists that you can do that. You can call your insurance broker and you can get this together in 5 minutes, right? So.
Yes. Even when you go to a trade show, a lot of trade shows, when you go to a trade show, they request from you a vendor liability insurance for the trade show. True. You're going to be 4 days at the specific convention center.
Yeah.
Oh, mister, do you have your vendor liability insurance? You said what?
Yeah.
You said what? Yeah. So show your liability
back to what you said. It's an industry,
and
as in any industry, you have the processes, you have the compliance that you need to have. That is all part of the learning situation.
That's very true.
And that's how you learn. And that's the other side of that when I mentioned that to Brazilians. If a foreign investor comes to look at your company in Brazil, if he sees your product, comes here, wants to visit you, the questions that he's going to ask are very similar.
Yes.
What's your liability coverage in Brazil? You manufacture, you make a product, that could even be software, it could be anything, it could be a service. He wants to know how your company is set up.
Yep.
It's a very simple checklist, but for many, it's a surprise.
Yeah, but you know something, Tom, people sometimes think it's very difficult, but it's not, because what happens is the American way of doing business is so structured.
Right.
As I said, if you go to a trade show and you don't have liability insurance, you buy on the spot, right there, boom, like that. So everything is set.
Everything's set.
To go faster and faster and faster. You do online, you do on cell phone, you have the agent on the spot. So people say, oh, Richard, Americans is so complicated. No. It's not. Complicated is Brazil. Here is organized. Because whatever they demand from you, they already bring the solution, say, hey, mister, that's what you have to do. Take this step here. And today with a smartphone in your hand, it's even easier. You know that.
I know. That's it. Today, that's it. There's no other way. People don't even look into a computer anymore. It's just a smartphone.
That's right.
See, my business is all in my. If I wanted to make the podcast today, I could do it in my smartphone.
Isn't that amazing?
That is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's the way business is. That's the way the world is, and I think that's good. We have to adapt. Just let me ask you one more point that we talked about offline. This is again for our foreign audience out there in the world. If they want to go to events and see where Brazilian companies and Brazilian products are, you talked and you mentioned to me APEX, APEX, which is the Brazilian institution which is structured really to help Brazilians get out into the world, right?
Yep.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, they can go to the link that I have, if you can provide to them my blog address.
Uh-huh.
They have a link. They show all over the globe where APEC is helping Brazilian companies to succeed, not just in the United States.
Right.
And they have it per category as well. And APEC has been doing a good job helping Brazilian company to export but the calendar is there, and they are doing a very good job, helping all these Brazilian companies or any buyer that wanna buy Brazilian products or Brazilian commodities. Has been very good.
The whole world is a marketplace, right? It's not. Yeah, what you mentioned. The world is a marketplace, and there are trade shows and events everywhere.
That's true. That's true. And APEC has been my understanding about trade shows, again, they have been very aggressive promoting. And I believe right now, with the President Bolsonaro, it's going to be even more, aggressive.
Good.
I see a bright future. Even Tom, I see the future so bright. I'm thinking about to buy a new shade. You know what I'm saying?
Very good.
I'm that serious. This kind of, especially this kind of all the respect for your foreign audience, with this bromance, Donald Trump, Jair Bolsonaro, and now comes with Benjamin Netanyahu. Even having this on video, that I'm so excited about the future. The better is ahead,
It is. No, I think there's a more positive atmosphere without a doubt. And Brazil obviously has all of the advantages that it does, not only in the commodities. Brazil, too, is learning to become a service industry, software, many startups, many bright ideas, and all of these companies getting out into the world. So that's good. But what I do want to mention to our audience is your blog, and I'm going to spell that to them. It's Direto dos USA, so that's DIRETO DOS USA. And that's for Richard Sanchez's blog, and I'll be putting that on our site. So you clicking on that, then you'll be able to find the APEC calendar for the events. Okay, Richard?
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I want to thank you. We're coming to the end of our time today, but we're going to be back talking more specifically in the future of specific events and opportunities for Brazilians there and opportunities for Americans or foreign companies here in Brazil, hoping to use your expertise. All right, Richard?
Thank you very much, you all. God bless you guys.
Okay, thank you again. And also, I would like to say that you can find more about Richard Sanchez, and that's Richard, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, Sanchez, S-A-N-C-H-E-Z. You can find him on LinkedIn, and also the list of the trade shows which are on his blog, Direto dos USA. And also like to invite you to visit our website, which is talktobrazil.com. And you can also find his and our previous shows of Talk to Brazil on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and TuneIn. And thank you, our audience, and remind everyone that today's program was brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence. And Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. And more about them at their site, which is focusmi.com. You can always send your suggestions or comments and find me at tom@talktobrazil.com and join the Talk to Brazil group on LinkedIn and follow our discussions. So remember, when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Goodbye, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Tom Reaoch on Talk to Brazil, the business connector to Brazil.